first of all, let's look at what these numbers are. Well, again, the model is not time predictive. It doesn't tell you for sure we're going to get to the red zone even in 2025, right? If we do, right, the red zone starts at about 190,000 here, okay, and it goes all the way up to 300,000. So the model sort of says, well, historically, using historical numbers, we're kind of like somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000.
Bitcoin is about to experience a significant change in liquidity that might cause prices to surge. Mathematician and Wall Street veteran Fred Krueger thinks institutional flows, ETF momentum, and changing global liquidity dynamics are about to propel Bitcoin into an important stage. According to Krueger's study, the price action of Bitcoin is following a well-defined cycle, and past tendencies indicate that a breakthrough is coming. A parabolic rally might start at the next significant resistance level, paving the way for a new all-time high. But what's different this time? Why does Krueger believe this cycle will be unlike any other? Watch until the end as we break down his latest insights, price targets, and the key catalysts that could fuel Bitcoin's next surge. Now, here's Fred Krueger on why Bitcoin is set to explode.
So this is the original power law by Giovanni, and that Giovanni posted. And he sort of said he noticed this relationship in 2013. He sort of started talking about it in 2018. And then he stopped talking about it in 2020. And he noticed that basically, if you plot the Bitcoin price in log terms and you regress it against the days or years since the Genesis block, you get a pretty good fit, 95% correlation fit. And so, this gives you two things. One is it gives you a long-term trend line as to where we're going in the next 10, 20 years, maybe 20 years. And it also gives you a support line, right? And this is the support line and this resistance line. They're really almost like connect the dots lines. In other words, we'll choose a power law that more or less matches the support or the resistance. Okay, so that was where we were with Giovanni, and that was sort of state of the art, really, a little bit about a year ago. But this thing have some questions, right? Which is, how close are we to the top, or how close are we to the bottom, right? And when you ask these questions, you need to kind of say, in what sense are we close to the top, right? So, so if you go back to, I'm going to show you this line. This is a really great sort of visual chart that my friend Matteo Pellegrini put together. And he said, look, if you look at the support line of the power law, really that's kind of where Bitcoin maxis say the market really is, right? That's the true market, right? And then you have these kind of peaks, and these things are speculators, gamblers, traders, newbies, and degens, right? So, and by the way, this is all again in log space. So you might think, well, maybe that's 2017. No, 2017 is here, right? This is 2021. This is 2017. This is 2013. That's 2011, right? So it's a little unintuitive when you look at it this way. But now the question is, can we do better than this? Can we kind of figure out if we're close to the top or not, right? And I would argue, yes, we can. And Plan C put together this great model, and you can follow them under the real Plan C. And there's a lot to unpack here. So what does he have? He's got these 4 bands, right? This band here is the 95% zone, this red one, right? And he has sort of a 99% band zone as well, right? But he also has kind of this support line, which is sort of the bottom 5%. And then he has the 5 to 50% range here, right? So these are these quantile ranges. And here he's plotted it not in log space, but in regular space. So now we have this arc model. So I love this prediction this way of visualizing the data. Now you also have here, so where are we right now? Well, we're 106. We're a little higher. We're in the yellow area, right? But it really there's a bunch of stuff that this tells you, right? It doesn't tell you when we're going to get to the red zone, but it tells you if we do get to the red zone, we're probably not going to stay there for long, right? So the red zone is the top 5% of the data. So by definition, what it means is it doesn't mean we're not going to get there. We're going to get there. We will probably get to the red zone, right? But we're not going to stay in the red zone really more than 5% of the time, which is literally 2 weeks, right? So we'll get there. We do a quick trip there and we leave. So that's kind of the analysis. So what does this tell you? I think it tells you that if we get, first of all, let's look at what these numbers are. Well, again, the model is not time predictive. It doesn't tell you for sure we're going to get to the red zone even in 2025, right? If we do, right, the red zone starts at about 190,000 here, okay, and it goes all the way up to 300,000. So the model sort of says, well, historically, using historical numbers, we're kind of like somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000.
Meanwhile, a global change in central bank regulations may result from Trump's plan to investigate a cryptocurrency stockpiling in the United States. Jeffrey Kendrick of Standard Chartered speculates that other countries may follow suit if the U.S. government keeps its 270,000 Bitcoin and indicates intentions to buy more. Bitcoin is already being considered for 5% of the Czech National Bank's reserves, and proponents in Switzerland are calling for a national vote to include Bitcoin in the Swiss National Bank's reserves. Bitcoin's price might surge if central banks begin hoarding the cryptocurrency. This would feed enormous institutional demand. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications for future Bitcoin, macroeconomic, and digital asset content before we go any further. Now, let's get into his powerful predictions.
So that's that. I just want to conclude a little bit with kind of what I think is happening in crypto these days, right? And up until 5 days ago, if you go back to my feed, even 2 weeks ago, I was sort of sitting there saying, listen, guys, like, you have to, dump every other coin you ever had, and you can't, this is a Bitcoin only world. Bitcoin's going to dominate other cryptocurrencies. All other cryptocurrencies will go to zero against Bitcoin. And by the way, I more or less still believe that, right? I do think it's going to be very, very hard competing with Bitcoin over the long haul, right? But having said that, to me, things changed on January 20th, 10 days ago. What changed, or 11 days ago, what changed is that Trump launched his own meme coin. And that really, to me, is a fundamental difference. And what does that mean? That means Trump's effectively a crypto president, right? So whether you like it or not, right? Whether you like it or not, we're not going to be entering a Bitcoin only world. That's just not the way things are going down right now. We're going to be entering a world that is filled with all kinds of cryptocurrencies. And this was like a major shift in my kind of view. It took the maxi community getting all so angry at me over this stupid coin to kind of jar me into thinking about it. But, it was coming because of the Trump coin. There was something in that coin that just sparked, like, wait a second, this is, we're not in Kansas anymore, So what do I think is going to happen? I think if you watch the video with Chris Dixon and Laura Shin, to me, that video is going to go down. It's going to go down in history as the beginning of Web3, right? Because I really think, Web3 did not look like a good idea it did not look like a good idea a year or two ago. People looked like that was a failure. It never worked. It can't work. People are never going to use crypto. We are never going to use crypto as a means of exchange. And I think with this new administration, in fact, we are going to use crypto as a means of exchange. Okay, so how's that going to work? What's going to happen? Are we going to go back to ICOs of 2017? They're all going to be crappy? Well, no. And the reason is this, we are going to see some new legislation, right? And the most important new legislation is not going to be the Bitcoin reserve. The most important new legislation is going to be the Stablecoin Bill. Now, why is the Stablecoin Bill going to be so important? It's going to be so important because, well, Stablecoin Bill and SAB 121 repeal, right, which already happened. It's going to be important because all of a sudden banks can now legally custody stablecoins. What that means is Bank of America, you have a checking account at Bank of America, you have 10 grand on your checking account. Bank of America could allow you to withdraw or deposit potentially USDC into that account, right? So we have a clear movement in and out of bank accounts between stablecoins and the bank.
Fred Krueger was a Bitcoin maximalist who thought that all other cryptocurrencies will eventually lose ground to Bitcoin. He maintained that no digital asset could ever challenge Bitcoin's hegemony in the long run. But on January 20th, when Donald Trump introduced his own meme coin, his viewpoint drastically changed. This incident made Krueger rethink his beliefs in a world where Bitcoin is the only currency. Trump's adoption of cryptocurrencies told him that a range of digital assets would be used in the future rather than just Bitcoin. According to him, this was a significant paradigm shift that caught him off guard and even sparked criticism from the Bitcoin maximalist movement. According to Krueger, Trump's engagement in the cryptocurrency space legitimizes the larger crypto ecosystem and paved the way for the mainstream use of digital assets other than Bitcoin. Additionally, he highlighted a significant change in regulations, the passage of the Stablecoin Bill and the removal of SAB 121, which now permits banks to lawfully hold stablecoins. This implies that direct payments and withdrawals in stablecoins may soon be permitted by conventional institutions like Bank of America. He compares this to the emergence of Web3 and views it as a turning point in the history of crypto. Although Web3 was once written off as unfeasible, Krueger now thinks that cryptocurrency will gain traction as a medium of exchange with institutional and governmental backing. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you thought his viewpoint was helpful so you don't miss any updates. We'd love to know what you think about the future of cryptocurrency markets, so please share your ideas in the comments section. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next video.